Hey subscribers and viewers, I'm Marcus with Super Square, and today I'm showing off Flappy 2048 and telling you why it exists and why maybe it shouldn't exist. This is a game I found out about actually on Reddit last night, and when I clicked on it, when I've had my first bout of Flappy 2048, in the bottom right, you can see it's got 4,000 likes at the moment. Now, when I played it first, it had about 1,000, and when I played it about 3 hours ago, when I was just testing it out again, it had 3,000, and now it's got almost 4.5. So by the time this is up, I think you guys should go and check exactly where it is, and we can figure out whether this is as much of a runaway success as Flappy Bird or the hit 2048, which are both rip-offs of other games, rip-offs and clones. So what this is, if you haven't figured it out yet by the name or the aesthetic, is a fusion of two games, Flappy Bird and 2048. So that makes it a fusion of... So it's a fusion of two games. It's a fusion of a clone and a clone of a rip-off, I think. I think I've got something mixed up there. More on that later, I'll tell you about that. But for now, let's just dive in and see really how it works. It's pretty simple. It's a one-button game, and I'm going to use my mouse because when I'm hammering on my spacebar, it gets a bit noisy. There you go. The classic flap noises. Oh. So, unlike Flappy Bird, rather than trying to get through holes between pipes, you are trying to achieve the goal. Blast. You're trying to achieve the goals. Oh. There we go again. You're trying to achieve the goal that you do in a game like 3's, 1024, or 2048, and it's incredibly hard to do when you're chatting, and my video card is so underpowered that I can't even play a Flash game or an HTML5 game without it stuttering. So, first of all, you match up ones, you match up twos, and it goes... And you match it up like that, and you continue rising in powers of 2. I mean powers of 2? It's, yeah, it's base 2, you're counting in base 2. And that's how you continue to rise. So, actually, the mechanics they've got for flapping and the physics they've got in place there is a lot easier than Flappy Bird. Flappy Bird was kind of punishing in its physics. This is only punishing because capturing video and apparently rendering this is way too strenuous for my computer. When I played this on my own, I got way up. I got way up to the black. Yeah. Got way up to the black numbers and the dark blue numbers, but it's not really wanting to be my friend this time. I promise you, I'm not just terrible. So yeah, you can see they're all red and yellow at the moment, but slowly they'll start to get darker. You see, blast. Slowly that's a darker shade of red. Right, this is almost impossible to play. Hang on 1 second while I try and close some programs and up my frame rate, I guess. Okay, we're back. Yet again, the culprit in that case was iTunes, which likes to swallow up a lot of resources. It's still not got quite the best frame rate, but it's enough to play. And I think by now, you've kind of got an overview of exactly what happens. Maybe not quite yet. When you get far enough, these strips of numbers that appear stationary at the moment start moving around. They start swinging up and down, and it becomes a lot harder to find and hit where you want to go. And this is when the numbers get ridiculously high into the millions, or just long strings of numbers that you wouldn't even bother to say. So I'm going to continue to try and get that high while I explain maybe some of the background about this, which you guys perhaps don't know. So, 2 games, Flappy Bird 2048. First one, March, it's May 24th, 2013. A guy called Dong, I think it was called Dong, developed a game called Flappy Bird. He's a young chap, I've forgotten how young he is. But he developed a game called Flappy Bird and released it then. And no one gave a damn until was about January, maybe December people picked it up, but mid-January 2014, you probably remember everyone lost their shit over Flappy Bird, which was a game kind of like Helicopter, if you ever played that web game, but involves tapping rather than holding down. And Don wanted it to be like a simple game that was accessible to everyone, and to make it sort of kid-friendly and fun, he used a lot of the assets which, well, it seemed like he wrote them directly from Super Mario Bros. 3. It was a bird which looked suspiciously like a fish, and tubes which looked almost exactly like the pipes in Super Mario Land. I can't remember which one it was. Super Mario. I think it was the third Super Mario Brothers. I'm gonna get crucified if I get that wrong. So it became hugely successful, so successful that as he had planned it to be a sort of distraction, he was upset at the fact people were getting addicted to this Flappy Bird, and so addicted that he was sort of getting death threats from his community, saying, "My kids aren't studying, they're playing your video game, they're not doing anything. You've created something that's a plague on our society." And to be fair, he had. People were playing that a little too much. Perhaps you were. I didn't, but I was one of the cool kids to play it before it got removed off the Google Play and App Store. Because that's what he did, because he was getting all these threats, all these angry emails and letters from people, and people turning up at his doorstep and said, "Nah, it's too much. It's going down." Even though he was making, The Verge estimated, about $50,000 a day in ad revenue, because pretty much everyone who had an iPhone was playing it. So after that, there are a lot of fake stories saying phones with Flappy Bird on it were selling for hundreds of thousands of dollars on eBay, which was a lie. It didn't happen. They were fake listings. And he came out of the limelight for a bit back into the limelight a little bit to do an interview with Rolling Stone and explain why he did it all. And a little after that, I think last month it was, he said, "Yeah, Flappy Bird's coming back, but it's not coming back anytime soon." So I don't know whether he's going to change it so it's less addictive. Perhaps. That would be an odd strategy, but maybe that's something he'll do. So it's coming back, but nobody knows when. In the midst of all this, just after Flappy Bird had been taken down, another game came out, which many hailed as being sort of the cure to your Flappy Bird addiction, called Threes. Now, Threes is the predecessor, or kind of the inspiration for... Here we go. Sorry, I'm going to stop telling about the history. Fuck that! Okay, let's move on. Threes is the predecessor to 2048, really. It's what served as the inspiration for it. It was a game for the iPhone, which did very well, and it was made by an indie developer who was sort of very in with the kind of Zach Gage, Brandon Boyer type. This whole indie, I don't know where they're based, but I think maybe Californian devs? I don't really know. They made a bunch of cool indie games. They were part of this movement, and it was well received and designed really well. And then, because it only cost about $1, $2 on the App Store, there's obviously an opportunity there to make a free-to-play game and get ad revenue from it. So a game called 1024 came out, and I should stop saying it like that. I should start saying 1024 came out, which is basically the same, but the numbers were higher. Actually, I think numbers were exactly the same when you get... Anyway, like that. And that was free. And then 1024 became really successful because it was free. And then someone thought, hey, let's get this on browsers, because more people have, computers than iPhones, perhaps. And that game was called 2048, which, sadly, has got far more acclaim and recognition than Threes itself, I think. So it's a bit of a tragedy. As Lee Alexander, the journo, called it, it was a unique tragedy in the industry. Still, the main difference between 2048 and Threes, I found, was that it is better. Well, I don't want to say better because it's not original, but it kind of hit them dopamine sensors a bit easier because the numbers went up far quicker than they did in Threes. In Threes, when you first play, it's a real achievement to sort of go up to, I forgot what numbers there are now, but when you sort of start stacking 8 high cards or whatever, it feels good. But 2048 just kind of threw bigger numbers at you quicker and a lot quicker than threes, so it was more rewarding for a lot of people. Now, there's even a clone of this. Well, not really a clone, it's an entirely different game, adding to the chain of fusions and clones and rip-offs across the web, which I think it's called Flap 48, which is a bit different. You have to flap through gaps, much like in Flappy Bird, rather than this. But in between the gaps, you'll have, 2s and 4s and 8s floating around, and you have to try and hit them. Either way, all of it is pretty dull, but it's addictive, because every time you slide through a gap like this, your brain goes, damn, that feels good, I want to do that again. And you just keep going and going and going. And like Flappy Bird, like threes, every time you lose, you feel like, well, I can do better than that. And I'm actually doing better every time here. Right then, I think we should have one last and final run before we throw in the towel. And I hand over the scepter of speech to my colleague for the next show and tell. 8. Okay. 16. 32. Was there a song about this? Inchworm, inchworm? What do you count? Okay, one more. I lied when I said it was last. It was actually the second to last, but that's okay. 2. I feel like there was inchworm, inchworm, something, 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 and then they doubled the numbers over and over, and then like Kanye West laid down a fat rap beef underneath it. I don't know what rap beef is. Is that an argument? A rap beef? Anyway, a rap beef Wellington. Okay, 1, 2, 8. Hey, inchworm, check them. Check my numbers. Inchy. Okay, 1, 2, 5. Just a number to you, Flappy Bird. Just a number. Right. Well, time to throw in the towel. Thanks for watching, friends, foes, enemies, viewers, subscribers. Until next time, I'll be showing and telling. Like and subscribe.